all women are different, but they are all women. This video is androcentric from a men's point of view and is presented as opinion, commentary, and debate. Expressing opinions is not violence. These are ideas to challenge, question, and argue in public, because classical liberalism relies on the First Amendment for its dialectic. If you are a feminist, then consider this. If patriarchy truly existed as claimed, feminism could not. And if all men are trash and women are equal to men, then what are we to conclude? Women will die for their children, men will die for their wives and children, and God chose to die for all mankind. Authority rolls up with responsibility. If this framing of facts offends you, click off to a cute cat video. Proceeding further will expose you to gamma bias and criticism directed at ideas, claims, institutions, not at any individual's virtue or dignity. Our method follows the 7 liberal arts: the trivium, grammar, logic, rhetoric, and the quadrivium, arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy, and the transcendentals, the good, true, and beautiful. If this framework is not for you, feel free to exit now. It's no disgrace. Women are wonderful. God bless America. Men are great. Feminismus Delendus 8. Unshackled, Men's Rights in the War of Marriage, written by Conrad Riker. Available now. Links in description. Anti-feminist marriage strategies, a cold shower for comfortable lies. Her co-worker missed out on a promotion, which she instantly blamed on a system crafted by white men. She offers no proof that her colleague held the best qualifications, assuming instead that a capable black woman denied advancement proves structural unfairness. This reflects the generalization split. A man's fault becomes a theory about men. A woman's setback becomes a theory of the cosmos. The idea that the co-worker might have lacked strategic vision is never considered, as female ability is taken for granted, while male judgment is presumed guilty. Now look at the actual data. Women earn 60% of all bachelor's degrees, 60% of all master's degrees, and over half of all doctorates in the United States. Women dominate higher education at every level. If standardized tests and meritocratic instruments were designed to exclude women, they have failed so spectacularly that the failure itself should be studied. The real educational crisis is not women being held back. It is boys falling behind. Boys are more likely to be disciplined, drugged, diagnosed with learning disorders, held back a grade, and pushed out of school entirely. Where is their coping card? Where is their essay about a world built against them? The answer is there is no essay, because male suffering is not a political act, it is background noise. Carol Gilligan's in a different voice asserts that women navigate morality via care and connection, whereas men rely on detached abstraction. Yet, she omits that her core claim has withered under decades of replication failures. Her original study relied on a minuscule sample lacking a control group. Later, expansive research spanning thousands of participants across diverse cultures revealed no meaningful gender divide in moral orientation. The care versus justice split is a myth crafted to soothe female ego and frame male thought as defective. The dichotomy endures not for its truth, but for its utility. It hands women a moral identity that demands no proof and guarantees automatic dominance. When a woman stumbles on a test built for abstract logic, the test is flawed. When a man struggles with emotional nuance, he is broken. The measuring stick is not neutral, yet the skew does not favor her as she believes. She claims the evaluation favors those who shout first, loudest, and with absolute confidence, irrespective of correctness. This describes confident speech labeled as aggression. Swap the genders. If a man called a female co-worker's presentation shrill, emotional, and performative, he would face HR scrutiny before noon. The writer mirrors the behavior she blames on men, pathologizing the other sex's communication, yet she receives payment for it, while her bias goes unchallenged. The double bind is not a flaw, but a designed component of the complaint engine. When women win, the framework is just. When women lose, the framework is biased. The result dictates the verdict. This is not reasoning. It is a one-way payout machine. Bunkum article by a feminist PhD. Why I keep a coping skills card in my purse, and why that's actually a political act. Let's talk about the things we carry, not the metaphorical emotional labor. though honey, we'll get to that, but the actual objects. The emergency charger cable tangled at the bottom of your tote bag. The laminated coping skills card your therapist made you make. The turmeric and ginger you blend every morning because your body is quite literally inflamed from existing in a world built by and for men. These aren't lifestyle choices, they're survival technologies, and if that makes you uncomfortable, good. Sit with it. Last Tuesday, I watched my colleague, a black woman, a single mother, and frankly the most competent person in our entire department, get passed over for a promotion. Again, the reason? She didn't demonstrate strategic vision during a standardized assessment exercise designed by, I kid you not, 3 white men who have never had to negotiate childcare pickup with a toxic ex-partner. The exercise was a case study, you know the type, abstract, competitive, timed, the kind that rewards shouting first, loudest, and with maximum confidence regardless of accuracy. The kind that calls itself objective because it has a rubric, never mind that the rubric itself encodes a very particular, very masculine, very white way of knowing. I watched her face, that quiet, controlled stillness. And I thought, she's reaching for her coping skills card right now. Not the literal one, the internal one, the one every woman carries. Breathe. Ground yourself, you're not crazy. This is the system, not you. And then I thought, why is she the one who needs a coping skills card? Why isn't the system required to carry one? Why don't we hand the CEO a little laminated card that says, you are not objective? Your standards are not universal. Your meritocracy is a story you tell yourself so you don't have to share power. Let's talk about merit, shall we? I need you to understand something, and I need you to sit with the discomfort before you reach for your rebuttal. Standardized measures of merit are not neutral. They have never been neutral. They were designed by specific bodies, in specific historical moments, to value specific cognitive styles, and those styles are not accidents. The SAT, the IQ test, the performance review, the leadership potential matrix, the coding interview, the case study exercise, every single one of these instruments encodes a worldview that intelligence is linear, competitive, hierarchical, abstracted from context and produced under pressure. That knowledge is something you perform alone, on command, within an artificial time limit, stripped of collaboration and care. This is not how women think. This is not how neurodivergent minds think. This is not how anyone thinks who has been trained by biology, by circumstance, by the simple fact of living in a racialized female body to process reality relationally, contextually, collaboratively, with attention to the web of connections that linear thinking men bulldoze right through on their way to the answer. And when I say how women think, I can already hear the keyboard warriors sharpening their think pieces. Not all women you're essentializing. What about Margaret Thatcher? Sweethearts, I've read the same Judith Butler you skimmed in college. I'm not saying biology is destiny. I'm saying that the experience of being female in this world, the caregiving, the hypervigilance, the code switching, the emotional management of everyone around you produces cognitive patterns that standardized testing doesn't just ignore but actively punishes. Carol Gilligan showed this decades ago. Girls and women consistently score higher on care-based moral reasoning. The ability to see complexity, relationship, context, competing obligations. And yet, our entire educational and professional apparatus rewards justice-based reasoning, rules, abstraction, individual rights, zero-sum competition. One is called thinking, the other is called soft skills. Do you see the trick? You define intelligence as the thing your group does well, build a test to measure it, call it universal, and then use the results to justify keeping everyone else out. This isn't meritocracy. It's a hall of mirrors where the reflection is always a man. My emergency charger cable theory of feminized labor. My phone is always dying because I'm always using it, coordinating my mother's doctor's appointment, reminding my partner about his own mother's birthday. Emotional labor he literally cannot see because it's invisible to him by design. Answering Slack messages at 9 p.m. because remote work erased the boundary between office and home. Looking up whether that headache is a migraine or a tumor because women's pain isn't taken seriously until we produce our own evidence. The emergency charger cable is the perfect metaphor for feminized labor. We carry the backup power so that the main system never has to acknowledge its dependence on us. We keep everything charged, everything running, everything connected, and the system takes all the credit. The cable itself is never thanked. It's not even noticed until someone else needs to borrow it. Here's what the data says. For the men who need data to believe women's lived experience, which, sidebar, the demand that we produce evidence for our suffering, while your vague feelings about reverse discrimination are treated as common sense, is itself a form of epistemic violence. Women perform approximately 4.2 hours of unpaid care work daily globally compared to men's 1.7 hours. In the workplace, studies show women do more office housework, taking notes, organizing birthdays, mentoring junior staff, DEI committee work that is unpaid and uncredited, while men do more high-visibility work that leads to promotions. And here's the thing that really burns. When women do perform the high-visibility work, we're penalized for not being collaborative. When we perform the collaborative work, we're told we lack leadership presence. The double bind isn't a bug. It's the operating system. I eat ginger every morning because your workplace is making me sick. Let's talk about immune foods. Turmeric, ginger. Bone broth, yes, I went there, and no, I will not apologize. Fermented everything. The wellness industrial complex gets mocked, rightly, for commodifying women's anxiety. But underneath the Instagram aesthetic, there's a truth nobody wants to name. Women's bodies are under immunological assault from patriarchy, and the only medicine the system offers us is self-care. The research is clear, even if you don't want to hear it. Chronic stress, the kind produced by navigating workplaces that devalue you, compensate you less, interrupt you more, and assess you against standards designed to exclude you, produces systemic inflammation, elevated cortisol, autoimmune flare-ups. Women are diagnosed with autoimmune diseases at a rate of roughly 2 to 1 compared to men. We experience burnout at higher rates. Our depression and anxiety are pathologized individually when they are political symptoms. So yes, I blend my immune foods every morning. Not because I believe turmeric will dismantle the patriarchy, but because my body, my female body, is the battlefield on which your meritocracy is fought. And I need every anti-inflammatory I can get to survive another day of being told I'm not strategic enough by a man whose strategic vision has never extended beyond his own career ladder. The wellness industry isn't the problem. The problem is a world so toxic that women need a wellness industry to survive it. The problem is that we individualize the cure, eat better, meditate, lean in, while the disease is collective, structural, and ongoing. On DEI, the revolution will not be tokenized. And now let me say something that will make both sides furious, which is how I know it's true. DEI, as currently practiced, is not the solution. It is the system's coping skills card, don't get me wrong. I have sat on DEI committees. I have facilitated the workshops. I have read the statements and checked the boxes and updated the dashboards. And I have watched over and over as the same women, black women, brown women, disabled women, queer women, get tapped to lead the diversity initiative, unpaid of course, on top of their actual jobs, only to be told, come promotion season, that their impact is hard to quantify. This is the trick of institutional DEI. It absorbs dissent, reframes structural critique as personal development, and converts revolutionary energy into HR compliance. It puts a brown face on the brochure and calls it inclusion. It generates a report every year and changes nothing about who holds power. True story, a friend of mine, an indigenous woman, brilliant organizational theorist, was hired as a diversity consultant by a major tech firm. They wanted her to help them recruit more diverse talent. She asked to see their promotion data, their pay equity audit, their sexual harassment complaint resolution timeline. They said that was outside her scope. They wanted her to bring in more brown bodies to be processed by the same machine. She declined. They hired someone cheaper who would. DEI that doesn't redistribute power isn't equity. It's a coping skills card for the corporation. Breathe, ground yourself. Post the rainbow logo. You are not racist. This is the system. Not you, what I'm actually saying. Here is where I land, and I know it's uncomfortable. And I know the comments will be a particular kind of hell. The entire architecture of merit in Western civilization, the tests, the performance reviews, the leadership competencies, the coding interviews, the case studies, the standardized everything is not a ladder, it is a wall. And the wall was not built by accident. It was built by men who defined intelligence as domination, by institutions that treated linear abstraction as the only valid knowledge, by a culture that calls women's relational intelligence soft and then wonders why we're burned out, by economies that extract our care, our emotional labor, our immune systems, and our hair. Literally, look up the research on cortisol and hair loss in women, I dare you. And then offer us a meditation app and a flexible spending account. I carry my coping skills card, I carry my emergency charger cable, I carry my immune foods. I carry all of it, we carry all of it because the world we live in was not built for our survival, let alone our flourishing. But here's the thing about carrying. At some point, you put it down. At some point, you stop adapting to the system and start demanding that the system adapt to you. At some point, the coping card becomes a demand. The charger becomes a refusal to keep powering your dysfunction. The immune foods become a communion, women gathering, sharing, plotting, remembering that our health is political and our anger is sacred. I'm not interested in a seat at a table that was designed to exclude me. I'm interested in who built the table, what forest it came from, and why I had to bleed to get near it, burn the rubric, smash the standardized test, refund the unpaid labor. And the next time someone tells you you're not strategic enough, remember, the strategy was always to keep you out. Carry your cable, carry your card, carry your ginger root, but don't you dare carry their shame. Flung the meritocracy she broke, how women conquered every institution and still cried oppression. Consider the assertion that this is not how women think. Look closely at reality. Women serve as litigators in court, surgeons enduring long shifts, engineers constructing infrastructure, mathematicians solving equations, military leaders commanding units, and software architects releasing code. They execute linear, competitive, abstract, and time-sensitive mental labor daily. Leading these fields, the writer does not depict women. She depicts her own insufficiency, projecting it onto her entire gender to shield herself from the pain of personal failure. This is projective blame shifting on a massive scale. I couldn't handle stress, so stress is unfair. It mirrors a student who fails and blames the test for being unjust, yet she has elevated this to a political stance. Statistics dismantle her argument. Women secure 60% of bachelor's degrees, 60% of master's degrees, and over 50% of doctorates in the US. Females have taken control of the academic pipeline. Males are the ones falling behind, more prone to discipline, medication retention, special education labeling, and dropout. If assessments were built to keep women out, they failed miserably. The structure favors them. Women have triumphed. Still, the piece clings to grievance. This isn't critique, it's a refusal to admit the contest ended and she won. Let's audit the cost ledger of this ideology because someone has to pay for it. When standards are lowered to accommodate relational, contextual, collaborative thinking, the bill doesn't go to the essayist, it goes to the people who depend on those standards. Bridges are built by engineers who passed physics exams under time pressure, not by committees that held space for each other's feelings. Surgery is performed by people who memorized anatomy through linear, hierarchical study. Software is shipped by coders who passed algorithmic interviews. Firefighters are certified through physical tests. The writer is not asking for equal access to these standards. She is asking for the standards to be declared oppressive because her friend failed one. This is the theology of the tantrum. The exam is too hard, so burn the exam. The rest of us, the ones who have to drive over those bridges and lie on those operating tables, would prefer the exam stay exactly as hard as it needs to be to keep us alive. Now apply the sex swap diagnostic to the central claim. The author says standardized measures of merit have never been neutral. She defines neutral as the same test, the same questions, the same scoring, the same time limit, regardless of sex, race, or feelings. That is exactly what standardized means. The SAT does not ask your gender before scoring your math section. The coding interview does not adjust difficulty based on whether you had a hard morning. She is not arguing against non-neutrality. She is arguing against neutrality itself, because neutral standards produce outcomes she does not like. If women outperform men on verbal reasoning, the test is celebrated as fair. If men outperform women on spatial reasoning or mathematics under time pressure, the test is condemned as structurally oppressive. This is not analysis. It is a slot machine that only pays out in one direction. The SAT was redesigned in 2016 partly to reduce what the College Board called male advantage. They removed guessing penalties which rewarded risk-tolerant cognition and added an essay section which rewards verbal fluency. Girls now outperform boys on reading and writing and have nearly closed the math gap. If the SAT is a patriarchal conspiracy, it is the only conspiracy in history designed to disadvantage the conspirators. The author cites Carol Gilligan's in a different voice to assert that women reason morally via care and relationships, whereas men rely on cold abstraction. However, she omits that Gilligan's work has faced decades of replication failures and methodological critique. Her study relied on a minuscule sample lacking a control group. Later, extensive research involving thousands of participants across various cultures found no meaningful sex difference in moral reasoning orientation. Consider the expectation that women must prove their distress, while men's vague notions of reverse discrimination pass as common knowledge. This total reversal amounts to gaslighting. Men's grievances regarding family courts, false accusations, suicide, workplace fatalities, educational bias, and conscription are routinely ignored, minimized, mocked, or treated as illness. Meanwhile, women's complaints about being interrupted spark global campaigns, United Nations resolutions, corporate training modules, and billion-dollar diversity industries. The requirement for proof is asymmetric and points away. The writer keeps a small card in her handbag, which she views as political. I see it as a pre-approved note from a counselor, allowing her to blame others for her mistakes. A man holding a card that says his failures are not his fault would be labeled delusional and told to take responsibility. When a woman does the same, she writes an essay and gets applause. The same facts, a different gender signal, and the moral judgment flips. This is the bias she accuses the system of having, yet she is the one wielding it. The coping card is not for coping, it is for conquering. And the world she wants to conquer is one she did not build, does not maintain, and refuses to understand. She wants to conquer a world she believes was built for men. But the world she despises is the one that eviscerated Terry McCarty. Her inflammation is a metaphor. His 30,000 theft is a receipt. Her coping card is a laminated permission slip. His court order is an unbreakable chain. The same system that gives her a platform to call her disappointment, political, gave him a wage garnishment and a lifetime of stolen fatherhood. She accuses the world of a bias she embodies perfectly. Her suffering is cosmic, his is administrative. If she wants to conquer this civilization, let her first answer for whose bodies it actually breaks. The weaponized incompetence how self-care became the wardrobe of female supremacy. A man named Terry McCarty spent 15 years paying child support for 2 children he did not father. The Oklahoma mother knew, she admitted it. The children's biological father was another man entirely. The courts did not care. Oklahoma law said Terry owed the money because he had once signed an acknowledgement of paternity based on her representation. By the time DNA evidence cleared him, he was $30,000 lighter. His credit was destroyed, and the state had garnished his wages for a decade and a half. He received no apology. He received no refund. He received a shrug from a legal system that treats male bodies as extraction machines and male suffering as administrative overhead. Now read this sentence from our essayist. My body is quite literally inflamed from existing in a world built by and for men. She blends turmeric. Terry McCarty blended his savings into a system that lied to him, robbed him, and called it justice. Men like Terry exist in the hundreds of thousands. Their names do not become metaphors. Their bodies do not become battlefields. Their inflammation does not get a wellness routine. They get a garnishment notice and an instruction to shut up. The woman with the coping card and the man with the court order occupy the same civilization, but only one of them is permitted to call her disappointment a political act. The other is told his despair is a personal failing, if he is permitted to speak about it at all. I want you to hold Terry McCarty in one hand and the coping skills card in the other, and I want you to feel the weight distribution. The card says, breathe, ground yourself, you are not crazy. This is the system, not you. This is not therapy, this is a pre-packaged absolution. It is a metaphysical indulgence pre-purchased from the Church of Therapeutic Validation. It preempts the only question that matters. What if it is you? What if the colleague did not get promoted because she was not the strongest candidate? What if the strategic vision assessment measured something real, the capacity to prioritize, sequence, abstract, and decide under uncertainty, and she had not developed it? What if the system is not a conspiracy against women, but a set of standards designed to keep bridges from falling down, aeroplanes from crashing, surgical protocols from killing patients, and financial systems from collapsing? The laminated card is not a survival technology. It is an accountability prophylactic. It insulates the carrier from the possibility that her failure might be her own, that her colleague's disappointment might be ordinary professional life, and that the world does not owe her a promotion because she feels she deserves one. The essayist writes that her phone is always dying because she is always on call, coordinating appointments, reminding her partner about his mother's birthday, answering Slack messages at 9 p.m., and researching her own medical symptoms because women's pain isn't taken seriously. The emergency charger cable becomes her central metaphor. We carry the backup power so that the main system never has to acknowledge its dependence on us. Let us audit this dependence with the seriousness it deserves. The charger cable plugs into a wall. The wall connects to wiring installed by an electrician, 98% male. The wiring connects to a grid designed by engineers, overwhelmingly male, maintained by linemen, essentially all male, who climb poles in ice storms and restore power to neighborhoods that include her apartment. The electricity is generated by a power plant, nuclear, coal, natural gas, hydroelectric built, operated, and fueled by men who work in conditions that degrade their bodies. The lithium in her phone battery was mined by men. The cobalt was extracted by children in the Congo, but the supply chain was engineered by men. The internet infrastructure, data centers, undersea cables, routing protocols, cell towers, was built by men and is maintained by men. She is not the backup power, she is the appliance. The cable in her purse is the last 12 inches of a million-mile male-built supply chain, and she has mistaken her consumption of its output for her production of its value. The system does not depend on her. She depends on the system utterly, totally, and at every moment, including the moment she types her essay, on a device made of male-engineered components powered by male-extracted energy, transmitted over male-built infrastructure, in a building constructed by male labor, in a nation defended by male soldiers. Her metaphor is not merely wrong. It is an inversion so perfect it would make a medieval demonologist blush. The data on unpaid care work, 4.2 hours for women versus 1.7 for men, is presented as proof of exploitation. I accept the numbers. Now add the missing denominators. Men work more hours in paid labor. Men work in more dangerous occupations. Men commute farther. Men occupy the jobs that keep the lights on, the water clean, the food delivered, the roads passable, and the borders defensible. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reports that men account for over 92% of workplace fatalities in the United States. Not a typo. Over 92 men die at work for every 100 deaths, and this is in a feminized post-industrial economy. In the UK, the figure is over 97%. Globally, the International Labour Organization reports that men die from occupational accidents and disease at rates that dwarf female occupational mortality. These men do not write essays about their coping cards. They do not blend turmeric for the inflammation caused by coal dust, asbestos, pesticides, diesel fumes, welding smoke, silica, or the simple accumulated punishment of physical labor over 30 years. They die at 55, at 60, at 45, and their deaths become a line item in an actuarial table that no one turns into metaphor because male death is scenery. It is the wallpaper of civilization. No one writes a polemic about it. No one laminates a card that says, "You are not disposable. Your death matters." The system sees you because the system does not see them. The system sees a coping card in a purse and calls it political courage. The autoimmune argument is where the essay reaches its comedy peak, though the author does not intend comedy. She writes, "Women's bodies are under immunological assault from patriarchy, and the only medicine the system offers us is self-care." Women do have higher rates of autoimmune disease, roughly 2 to 1, and the research points to complex immunological factors. The X chromosome carries many immune-related genes, and women's immune systems are more sophisticated, which means they are also more prone to misfiring. This is biology, not politics, but watch the rhetorical move. A biological fact becomes evidence of systemic oppression. The patriarchy is inflaming her immune system. The workplace is attacking her cells. The meritocracy is giving her lupus. Now apply the same logic to men. Men die 4 to 7 years earlier than women across every developed nation. Men have higher rates of heart disease, liver disease, drug overdose, and death by violence. Men kill themselves at 3 to 4 times the rate of women in some demographics. The ratio is 6 or 7 to 1. If we use the essayist's framework, group-level health disparity proves systemic oppression, then men are the most oppressed class in every civilization on Earth by the most permanent metric available, how long they live. But the essayist cannot see this because her framework is not designed to see it. Her framework is designed to convert female discomfort into moral authority and male death into background infrastructure. Her inflammation is a sacrament. His suicide is a footnote. That is the operating system she is running, and it has a name, the selective compassion engine that treats female suffering as cosmic injustice and male suffering as the cost of doing business. The narrative regarding this colleague warrants rigorous scrutiny. A black woman, a single mother, hailed as frankly the most competent person in our entire department, missed out on a promotion. The evaluation was crafted by 3 white men. It was abstract, competitive, timed, and favored, shouting first, loudest, and with maximum confidence regardless of accuracy. I lack knowledge of this colleague, the test, or the applicants, nor does the writer understand the panel's internal deliberations, nor the competencies measured, nor how the winner performed, nor the calibration method. What the essayist holds is this: my friend did not get something, I feel bad about it, therefore the system is rigged. This is not analysis. This is anecdotal generalization from a single data point with no denominator and no comparison group. It is the logical equivalent of me watching one woman crash her car and concluding that women should not drive. It would be a statistical sin in any other context, but because the claimant is female and the claimed oppressor is male, the story rises to civilizational indictment without evidence, without cross-examination, and without the basic humility of acknowledging that one hiring decision might have been, just possibly, made on the merits. The strategic vision assessment, the essayist insists, encodes a very particular, very masculine, very white way of knowing. But what does strategic vision actually require? It requires the ability to hold multiple variables in working memory, to sequence priorities under constraint, to anticipate second-order consequences, to allocate scarce resources, to distinguish between urgent and important, and to make decisions with incomplete information under time pressure. These are not masculine traits. They are leadership traits, and they are required to run anything more complex than a book club. The military requires them. Hospitals require them, fire departments require them, emergency rooms require them, supply chain logistics require them, bridge construction requires them. The essayist calls these skills linear and abstracted from context as if they were artifacts of white male prejudice. They are the skills that prevent planes from colliding, power grids from failing, and surgical theaters from descending into chaos. They were developed over millennia by civilizations that learned through war, famine, plague, and collapse, that without hierarchy, standards, and tested competence, everyone dies. The essayist wants to replace this with care-based moral reasoning and relational intelligence. These are real and valuable capacities. They belong in families, friendships, pastoral care, early childhood education, therapy, hospitality, and community life. They do not belong in the nuclear plant control room. They do not belong in the cockpit. They do not belong in the military chain of command during a crisis. And the fact that the essayist cannot distinguish between contexts that require relational warmth and contexts that require instrumental precision tells you everything you need to know about her fitness for the leadership. She demands. Then comes the DEI section, and here the essayist accidentally achieves clarity before losing it again. She correctly identifies DEI as institutional performance art. It absorbs dissent, reframes structural critique as personal development, and converts revolutionary energy into HR compliance. It puts a brown face on the brochure and calls it inclusion. This is half right and entirely unexamined. DEI is not the system's coping card, it is hers. DEI is a female-dominated bureaucratic apparatus, staffed primarily by women, that creates institutional power, salaries, and social authority for women at the direct expense of male opportunity. Audit the demographics. HR is 70–80% female. DEI roles are even more lopsided. The equity infrastructure is a female employment program funded by male productivity and male taxation. Men pay the lion's share of net taxes over a lifetime. Every credible fiscal study in every developed nation confirms that men contribute more in taxes than they receive in state benefits, while women receive more in benefits than they contribute in taxes. The British Institute for Fiscal Studies, the OECD Gender Revenue Studies, and national fiscal data across the Anglosphere all confirm the same pattern. Men are net taxpayers, women are net tax recipients. The DEI bureaucracy that the essayist staffs, profits from and complains about is paid for by men. Her coping card, her wellness industry, her therapeutic infrastructure, her university department, her HR position, and her child support enforcement system are all subsidized by male labor and male taxes, and her response is to demand more. The indigenous consultant story reveals the pattern precisely. The consultant was hired to recruit diverse talent. She demanded access to promotion data, pay equity audits, and harassment complaint timelines. The company declined and narrowed her scope. She quit. They hired someone cheaper. The essayist frames this as institutional racism and the suppression of revolutionary insight. I frame it as a contractor who attempted to expand her mandate beyond the contract, was told no by the organization paying her, and departed. This is not systemic oppression. This is what men experience every day. You are hired for a job. You do the job. You do not get to redefine the job into a different job because you feel the original job is insufficiently revolutionary. The essayist's friend wanted power, specifically the power to audit and restructure the organization's compensation and promotion systems. She did not have that power because she was not hired to have it. When a man is told his role has boundaries, he is told to stay in his lane. When a woman is told the same thing, it becomes evidence of intersectional oppression. The sex swap diagnostic operates with surgical precision. Imagine a male consultant hired to improve engineering efficiency who instead demanded to restructure the HR department's complaint procedures and, when refused, published an essay about systemic misandry. He would be ridiculed. He would be fired. He would certainly not be published in a journal that treated his tantrum as political theology. The most revealing line in the entire essay is not the turmeric or the coping card or the charger cable. It is this: I'm not interested in a seat at a table that was designed to exclude me. I'm interested in who built the table, what forest it came from, and why I had to bleed to get near it. I will answer her question. Men built the table, men felled the forest, men forged the saw, men engineered the mill. Men designed the nails, men built the road that transported the lumber, men built the vehicle. Men drilled the oil that fueled the vehicle. Men built the legal system that protected the property rights enabling the manufacture. Men built the military that defended the borders, allowing the manufacture to proceed without invasion. Men built the agricultural system that fed the workers. Men built the sewer system that kept them from dying of cholera. Men died in the wars, the mines, the factories, the fields, the forests, and the seas to produce the civilization in which she sits in a climate-controlled office, sips ginger water, and types complaints about the moral inadequacy of the people who made her life possible. She does not want a seat at the table. She wants the table, the forest, the sawmill, the lumberjack's hands, and an apology. She wants the men who built it to confess that the building was theft, the labor was violence, and the standards required to build it were patriarchal conspiracies designed to exclude her from the fruits of work she did not perform and could not replicate. There is no female-built civilization to point to as an alternative. There is no female-built power grid, no female-engineered logistical supply chain, no female-constructed sanitation system. There are female contributions, real, significant, indispensable contributions made within civilizations built and maintained primarily by male labor, male risk, male sacrifice, and male institutional design. The essayist does not want to contribute. She wants to conquer and consume, and she wants the conquered to thank her. And the shame, the final command, don't you dare carry their shame. There is no shame to carry. There is only a civilization to maintain. The shame the essayist refuses is the shame of honest accounting. The shame of looking at a coal miner with black lung and admitting that his suffering is greater than hers. The shame of looking at a father stripped of his children by a family court system that treats his parenthood as a financial obligation and her parenthood as an inherent right. The shame of looking at a boy drugged into compliance in a classroom designed for girls and admitting that the system is not designed to exclude women but to pathologize male nature. The shame of looking at a suicide rate that kills men at 4, 5, 6 times the rate of women and admitting that, if those numbers were reversed, it would be called a national emergency, a genocide, a crisis requiring immediate civilizational mobilization. The shame of looking at the 70,000 plus abortions performed annually in England and Wales, millions globally, and admitting that every one of those procedures ended a life that a man helped create and had no legal right to protect. The shame of looking at cuckoldry rates estimated at 3 to 10% in tested populations, which means hundreds of thousands of men are raising children they did not father, often while paying for them under state coercion, and admitting that this is treated as a footnote rather than a scandal because male betrayal is comedy and female betrayal is empowerment. The essayist carries no shame because the system has already relieved her of it. It has told her in 10,000 essays, 1,000 institutional policies, and 100 laminated cards that she is the victim, the heroine, the dawn, and the revolution. She carries no shame because she has transferred it to the men who built the world she lives in, the fathers who pay for the children they cannot see, the workers who die in the mines and on the rigs, the boys medicated into compliance, and the men who kill themselves in numbers that would horrify any society honest enough to count their bodies. She does not carry their shame. She does not carry their names. She carries a coping card and a charger cable and a bag of roots, and she calls it resistance while the men around her carry the weight of a civilization she did not build, cannot maintain, and will not thank. I want you to picture that woman standing in her climate-controlled office, stirring her adaptogenic mushroom blend with a bamboo straw, posting a fire emoji about how her anger is sacred while at that exact moment. Somewhere in West Virginia, a man named Dale is coughing up black dust in a mine shaft that powers her standing desk. Dale will not write an essay. Dale will die 7 years before retirement, and his obituary will be 3 lines in a local paper nobody reads. His widow will get a small pension and a flag, but sure, her body is the battlefield. Her body, which sits in an ergonomic chair designed by male ergonomists, in a building wired by male electricians, on a grid maintained by male linemen who get electrocuted at rates that would generate 1,000 think pieces if the bodies were female. The turmeric is not medicine. It is a communion wafer for a religion that worships the self and despises the men who keep the lights on. She says she wants to know who built the table. I will tell her. Men with calluses built it. Men with student debt and broken knees built it. Men who came home smelling like diesel and copper and did not have the emotional vocabulary to complain about it, because nobody was handing them laminated permission slips to externalize their pain onto the cosmos. She asks what forest the table came from. The forest was cleared by loggers with the highest workplace fatality rate of any occupation, 49 times the national average. She asks why she had to bleed to get near it. She didn't bleed. She filled out an application, passed an interview, and got hired into a system so extraordinarily safe, so coddling, so desperately eager to promote her that it invented entire bureaucratic departments, staffed almost entirely by women, whose sole function is to ensure she never feels uncomfortable enough to tweet about it. Convicted murderers in this country receive the constitutional right to conjugal visits. Married men have no enforceable conjugal rights at all. Fathers lose their children in closed family courts, operating on the balance of probabilities, not beyond reasonable doubt, just probably, on the word of a woman whose therapist gave her a card that says she is never responsible for anything. Over 75% of suicides are men. Over 90% of workplace deaths are men. The genetic coholdry rate, even by conservative estimates, means hundreds of thousands of men are raising children who are not theirs, and when they discover it, the family court still sends the bill. She writes about bleeding. The blood is ours. Here is what you now hold that you did not hold before you read this: the complete and permanent inability to ever again read one of these essays without seeing the machinery underneath. You have been given X-ray vision for the gamma bias engine, the care-harm inversion, the theological tantrum dressed as politics. Every time you see a woman claiming her anxiety is structural and her feelings are evidence, you will hear the gears turning. Every time a standard is lowered and called progress, you will know whose opportunity was subtracted. Every time a man is told his competence is privilege and his sacrifice is expected, you will count the cost ledger that nobody else counts. That is not bitterness. That is moral eyesight. That is what it feels like to wake up inside a system that has spent 50 years telling you that your nature is a disorder, your labor is invisible, your fatherhood is optional, your standards are oppressive, and your death is scenery. You are not crazy. This is the system, not you. Except she stole that line, didn't she? She printed it on her little card. It was always yours. It was always true of you. The ladder stands. The line holds. Men will keep building, keep paying, keep wiring, keep mining, keep dying, not because they are worshipped for it, but because that is what men do, and they do it without laminated cards, without fire emojis, without demanding that the universe reorganize itself around their inflammation. The next time someone tells you merit is a wall, remember the only people who call a ladder a wall are the ones who refuse to climb. Carry that, not as shame, as fuel. Go build something they can never take, and never again apologize for being the kind of man whose hands they depend on while their mouths condemn. Sponsored book, Unshackled, Men's Rights in the War of Marriage. This book isn't for you if you still believe in fairy tales like equality, happy wife, happy life, or that the state gives a damn about your rights. If you're content being milked for child support, stripped of your kids, or bankrupted by a system that treats you as disposable, close this page and go binge Netflix. But if you're a man who's tasted the bitter reality of modern marriage, who's watched friends get gutted in court, or spent nights wondering why your paycheck vanishes into a feminist-run bureaucracy, listen closely. I wrote Unshackled because I lived it. I lost my home, my savings, and nearly my sanity to a divorce that rewarded my ex's infidelity with alimony while branding me a deadbeat for demanding fairness. This isn't theory, it's blood-soaked experience. The system wants you docile. It wants you to swallow the lie that masculinity is toxic, that your biology is a flaw, and that signing a marriage license is anything but volunteering for indentured servitude. You've seen the stats. 85% of alimony payers are men. You've heard the horror stories: fathers jailed over missed payments, assets seized on a judge's whim, sons brainwashed to see them as villains. This isn't an accident. It's design. Cultural Marxists and feminist lobbyists have spent decades rigging laws, schools, and courts to erase male sovereignty. They've turned marriage into a plantation where you're the mule, but there's a way out. This book isn't a wine session. It's a field manual for rebellion. You'll learn how to shield your wealth, dodge false allegations, and exploit legal loopholes feminists pray you never discover. We'll dissect the state's role as the third wheel in your marriage, how no-fault divorce legalized theft, and why financial abortion isn't just fair, it's survival. Evolutionary biology smashes the toxic masculinity myth, while real cases expose the gynocratic capture of institutions. Weak men seek comfort in lies. Strong men confront truths. If you're ready to stop being a tax donkey for a regime that despises you, to reclaim your freedom and fatherhood without apology, this is your manifesto. If not, Leave it on the shelf. The rest of us have a war to win. Unshackled, Men's Rights in the War of Marriage, written by Conrad Riker. Buy now, links in description.